Bismillah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the R2F show, pop-up show we're doing real quick. The topic is cult conversations, and we're going to kind of jump right into it. But just to give some context of what we're talking about is we're going to try to teach our listeners a little bit about how to engage with dawah when you're talking to some of these people that have this cult mindset. Because a lot of these conversations are just on repeat and they repeat the same themes over and over. And the more that you can get used to dealing with these type of people, the better dawah you can give. So we're going to talk about two different conversations. One is a conversation, and I hate to call them conversations because you can't have a conversation via text. You can't have a conversation via comment section, comment threads. Those aren't real conversations because it's text format. Communication is limited, and there's certain etiquettes. Like, for instance, I violate the etiquettes all the time, but I try my best. You shouldn't be typing essays in the comment section. You shouldn't be typing essays in, a text thread or a WhatsApp chat or anything like that, because most likely the person's going to just skim through it. And even if they skim through it, it's written words so they can misunderstand what you're actually trying to say.
It doesn't have the whole background behind it, the nonverbal, the inflections of your voice, all that's very important for conveying the message properly. All right. So,
And obviously, if you're willing to sit there and type a paragraph or an essay, you got a lot on your mind. You got a lot that you want to say. If you got all that you want to say, you are welcome to come on the show and we can have a healthy, respectful dialogue about it. People type in paragraphs, and I'm talking about long, you know what I mean? Paragraphs and all this other type of stuff. You don't have to do that. It's not that deep. And like the brother said, for the most part, we're going to try to skim through it and just kind of pull out the meat of it and see what it is that you're really talking about. And a lot of times it don't be about nothing, so.
And I hope, and the main reason why I'm doing this is a few main reasons. One is to show people how to conversate, like how to go back and forth, how not to let your emotions get involved when you're dealing with it, because it is tempting they'll say some stuff and you'll get frustrated at the incredible, I'll call it an ability, their incredible ability to avoid common sense, right? The mental gymnastics that they do, it's kind of impressive. It's like, wow, how did you come out of that one? How are you not noticing that you're contradicting yourself in the same set? Like, you'll see these different things. And I want people to, one thing that we have to do is remind ourselves all the time, we're given dawah, right? We're not debating. This is not a debate. We're not trying to like, I'm going to win the debate. We're trying to give dawah. So our responsibility as Muslims given dawah is just to give the message, right? You have to try to detach your emotions a little bit so that you can give the message without being overrun by emotions and getting frustrated by the people that you're dealing with. Because it's almost like, I hate to say it and I don't want to offend these people, but it's almost like dealing with your children a little bit, where you have to show a little bit of patience and understanding that, because of the cult mindset, there's certain blocks that you have to kind of work through. Okay. The other reason is, I want these people, hopefully they'll watch this video and they'll be in a place where they actually have to listen to what we're saying, right? They can't just hurry up and get up and start typing keyboards and mashing based off their emotions. You're going to have to listen to what we're saying, and it's going to have to sink in, right? So with that, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. And just to piggyback off what Jaffer said, like, listen, Jaffer, it sounds good, but that's not typically what happens. They're going to hear this if they even watch it at all. People are going to hear what they want to hear. So they have what's it called, selective hearing, and so they're going to nitpick the parts out and say, okay, this is what we heard. It's what happens with our show all the time. We'll have a whole show and cover so many important topics, and then a good like half a minute of laughing or so, or a minute of laughing. We'll be like, oh, well, the whole show's gone now. I didn't hear a word you said. So it's not about to go well for them. And the escape and avoidance is very clear with these people. All right, it's the inability to acknowledge that they have a problem at all, and their love for these figures or these cult leaders, whatever, it blinds them clearly. And they're just like, it's fine. That's don't nothing to do with me. So yeah, talk to.
All right, so this is the video. First, the first person is, I'm gonna call her. I mean, her name's public. It's on there. It's Ms. Questions. I don't know who she really is, but her, as far as classifying, one of the things you want to do when you're dealing with dawah with these people is you have to be able to quickly identify what type of person they are. Right. This person is a TMOA, what I would classify as a TMOA apologist. Right, which means that they're not really in the Jamaat. Maybe they were in the Jamaat, but maybe they still want to be in the Jamaat, but they still actually are a Jamaati at heart, right? They still believe in a lot of this stuff, but they're not actually in the Jamaat. Whether they got kicked out or they're just someone who's kind of disconnected, and you could tell when you'll get to the comment, but this person's obviously like disconnected from the Jamaat, because we know if they're really connected with the Jamaat or actually in the Jamaat, they wouldn't be dealing with it. They wouldn't be commenting with us at all under actually their real user account, because they would get kicked out of the Jamaat. So we know right then and there, and that gives you a perspective of how to deal with these people. So I'll play the video. The video is called "Embrace the Love for Allah and Discover Any Inner Peace." Random AI generated title. The real crux of the video is, I'll play it and you can understand what's being said.
These Samoans, they talk about how much they love Galani, and it's as if it's just like how you should love Allah. This is how they talk about him. They speak about him in this way. And Allah is mentioning these people. They love these rivals that they have set up with Allah the same way that they should have loved Allah. But وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But the people who believe, their love for Allah is greater, is stronger. These Samoans.
So I mean, the message is very clear, I mean, there's nothing really to argue about it. It's basically these cult people in TMOA, they love their sheikh like they should be loving Allah. Very, very clear and direct message from that. Okay. Now, here we go. Let's get into, hold on.
Can't see
the way this looks.
Gotta zoom out here.
Hold on. Stop. Hold on, let me stop sharing and then share again.
Yeah, but just real quick, one more thing before Dr. gets to this. In psychology, the toughest thing is to convince somebody of something anyway. So if you have your own anecdotal experience with something or someone, right? Let's say that like you knew someone and they didn't abuse you, right? So you like, this person is an abuser, right? Or you were abused, but you didn't know it was abuse. So it's just like, okay, this is just, I just know it as this thing, right? So you know it's abuse at all. And someone says, hey, listen, this person's an abuser. They abused this girl, that guy, they beat him up. Not him, no, absolutely not. And so you get caught in this mindset of like, hey, it's impossible for him to be an abuser because I knew him, so he didn't abuse me. That's not how it works. It's not your own. You can have experience with someone. It can be wholly positive. He can go out and kill 100 people. It's like, no way, he kill her, but no way. Actually, yes, he is.
And to be honest, just living life, just going through life, you learn the complexities and the layers of people and the different positions or directions people can go, you know, when their mind is not in the right space. I mean, you kind of learn all of these things as you just simply go through life. You know, you can know somebody for 20 years and be like, man, nah, he wouldn't or she wouldn't do that. No, they would under the right set of circumstances or in different or certain positions. And this is something that I've been actually learning and just kind of, you know, just coming to terms with, you know, to where everybody is not who you think they are, no matter how good you want them to be, how much, you know, if they gave you a hamburger on the side of the road or something, that does not just make them this special person. And so I would caution people against, you know, having these type of this type of mindset about people, because people are deep, and it's something that you need to self-reflect on within yourself, because we all have these layers or depths that we can go to given a set of circumstances. So I would just say that.
So she starts off by basically refuting the video, saying, no, it's not. We speak of him with love because, now you have to listen to the language and then pay attention to the language by the time we get to the end of this back and forth. She says, no, it's not. We speak of him, talking about their sheikh, with love because he guided us to Allah and love and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He shared the Quran and Sunnah to us, and he taught us to follow Quran al-Haq and Sunnah above all else. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. I seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala from the ills you say. So right here, she's identifying herself as we, as TMOA, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She's a Jamadi. She's identifying herself as a Jamadi and saying, no, we love, in general, she's saying, no, we love him because he guided us to Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah and all that, right? So I simply say, your rebuttal falls apart when we point out how clearly misguided you all, how he clearly misguided you all and directed you away from the Quran and Sunnah, yet you still say you love him. When he strays from the Quran and Sunnah, y'all follow. When he contradicts the Quran and Sunnah, y'all justify it. Y'all love for Allah is through the spectrum of your sheikh, whereas your love for your sheikh should be through the spectrum of Allah, right? Very clear that you can't, like, for instance, and here's the example, like you can't do this online, but I can give a real practical example. If I say, I love Christopher Columbus because he brought us to India, and then Amr comes back and says, dude, you are not in India. You are in America. And I'm like, well, I still love him, right?
Just cut
that means what I said about why I love him. I'm not questioning whether Amar's not questioning whether I do love him or not.
Mm-hmm.
He just refuted why I love him, right? Because the reason I said I loved him is because I believe he did something. And then when someone comes and proves he actually didn't do that, he did the opposite of that, and you still say, I still love him, okay, you need to find another reason why you love him, right? It's very simple. And our answer to that, which we could always say, we point out all the time, the reason why y'all love him is because you were brought up in a cult and your parents trained you that you need to love this person.
We even had that one girl who was like, she said her family used to worship him. They used to have his photos and stuff and like really worship Jelani. So this is the indoctrination we talk about. And it's normal to y'all because you're a part of it, but it's not normal in the grand scheme of things. Like, she's not into Moa currently, whatever, and still her mind is still wrapped around his every like word and saying and all that crap. And you see a lot of people who are really out the Jamaat, but still feel like he's gonna come back from the grave and haunt them. Like, like I can assure you, you're gonna be fine. Yes, like the mythical mind tap he has on y'all, the spell, just bro, you are safe. All right, Nor ain't coming after you. Jelani ain't coming after you. Nor any of the other Galanis. Listen, you guys are fine.
So then she responds and says, a rebuttal about how I feel about my sheikh? Gotcha. There is no God but Allah, and Nabi Muhammad SAW is his messenger, period. So she's basically saying, how can you have a rebuttal about my feelings? Right? That's what she's saying here. And she can, come on the show and if this is wrong, but I'm pretty good at reading comprehension. She's saying you can't rebut my feelings, which I know that. That's why I didn't rebut your feelings, because I have no objective. You are the proof of your feelings, right? I could point out contradictions, but how you actually feel internally, I don't know what's in your heart. Only you know that. So I just got to take your word for it. But I can point out, for instance, contradictions in your actions that don't align with what you say you feel. I could do that, but that's what she says. So I respond and say, rebuttal for why you all feel the way you claim you feel. Now, notice how this is what these cult members do. They start moving. They like to move the goalpost. Okay? If you go back to her first comment, we're not going to have time to go to the second dude, but if you go back to her first comment, she says, she is representing all TMOA in this statement.
Yes.
We love him because.
And then she goes into herself singular.
Then when I basically debunk her, she goes to I.
Yes.
No, you were talking about we. So you're talking about the feelings of all of y'all. So you can't then go back and move the goalpost a little bit and say, now this is a personal thing. But okay, I'll let you move the goalpost, but I'll explain myself. The rebuttal is for why you feel the way you feel, you claim you feel. There are discrepancies with your claim. If a person says we love so-and-so because of XYZ, and you prove to them that XYZ is false, and they still claim to love so-and-so, then their statement about why they love is false. Very simple. If they're saying why they love something is false, then that means they need to find a new why. Very simple. Like this is, and when you hear us discuss this, it seems very obvious. Like, why can't a person understand this? Is because someone is challenging that they're basically, I'm challenging her. It seems trivial, but in this conversation, in this text conversation, I'm actually challenging her whole identity, her whole existence. Because her whole existence is built on this. I love the Sheikh because he guided us to Quran and Sunnah. She responds with La hawla wa la quwwata billahi al-ali al-azim. Have you met me before? You're giving false evidence, and you are calling me, other Muslim, a liar. I'm supposed to be safe when you speak to me, being that I am Muslim. I tell you a thing, and you call me a liar. Your issues, again, are dealing with administration and your clear lack of understanding of Sufism and what the Qadri order is. That later you don't have to accept, to each his own. Sufism isn't shirk. It's not for everyone, but actual practice of it is centered around Quran and Hadith. What Sheikh or Imam are you enlisting for help to assist you with your understanding of how the Qadri order is practiced? What leader has educated you? So Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, which was a great Sufi, you have an issue with him too? So
okay, wait. This is like when the bridge collapsed in Baltimore. There was like an engineer on Twitter talking about it, right? And someone was disagreeing with him, like, "Bro, you're an idiot." He's like, "Bro, I built the bridge myself. I know how it works." You're talking to Jaffer. You're talking to Jaffer about Jilani. Be so for real. You not know who Jaffer is. Jaffer is the number one student of Jilani. My fault. There's no more.
I have a couple questions. Okay, so this whole Qadri order thing, what is that? Can someone please explain that to me? In the comment section, anyone who has any information, what is this Qadri order? Because they throw this term around, like a lot of the brothers or sisters that we know from the community, the Tamoan community, all of a sudden now magically their last name is Qadri this, or their middle name is Qadri that. Like, what is that supposed to mean?
Okay, so there's some main schools, they call it, so tariqas. Tariqa is just a word that means like Sufi order, group, spiritual group, and they follow basically, allegedly, the teachings of a specific sheikh, right? And there's some main Sufi like groups out there. You got like the Naqshbandis, you got the Qadri.
Yeah, I hear them the most, the Naqshbandis or whatever.
Yeah. So and some of them are more like extreme and are further and further away from the Quran and Sunnah, and some are closer, and it's all in between, right? And that's what it is. It's basically saying we're a special group that follows certain types of Sufi practices. Right?
So because we haven't learned or understood or even lived in the times during actual Sufism or whatever, because it's our understanding that back in the day they was it was a little bit more authentic, a little bit more leaning towards staying on a straight path, just without some of the other fluff. Hold on. I don't know this for sure, but just throwing them an olive branch, let's say it was like that back in the day, where she says Sufism isn't shirk. I mean, I gotta just keep it flat. We have no evidence right now to substantiate today, 2024, that Sufism is not shirk. I'm sorry. Everything I know and understand about Sufism is absolutely shirk and bid'ah. So I don't have any information. I don't think any of us have any information.
Well, so here's the thing. So Sufism, as far as when Sufism actually became a thing, it's like, for instance, I'll give a good example. You know, today we have this group called Salafis, right? And it's like a known group. Like they're very much cult like, right? They label themselves Salafis, and that they're trying to. It's the same thing that happened centuries ago with people that used to just started labeling themselves Sufis because they wanted to make themselves distinct amongst the Muslims, right? Which leads to segregation, sectarianism, and all these things. As Muslims, we don't do that, right? So what she's saying is Sufism, in essence, is not shirk. There are a lot of Sufis and Sufi beliefs and Sufi orders and all these different things that actually do engage in shirk, right? Like, for instance, the Qadri Sarari, which is the whole seven Sultan belief. Yeah. We know that's shirk. So the essence of their core doctrine is shirk. Yeah. Okay? Sufism does, especially we know nowadays, engages in all sorts of innovation.
Yep.
Right? But you do have a lot of Sufis that claim to be Sufis, and they just claim it because that's just like what they've been taught to claim. But they actually just follow the Quran and Sunnah and don't deal with all the innovation and stuff. Okay? But as far as she's going down this Qadri order and the Sufi Qadris, and you don't understand it, right? I guarantee you I understand it more than she does.
Yep.
Because of just what she's saying, she doesn't understand it.
Like, yeah, I'm not necessarily saying Sufism. Basically, I don't have any evidence to suggest that Sufism is on the straight and narrow, following the whole Quran and Sunnah. I don't have anything. I mean, I have not. I'm 41 years old.
You won't, yeah.
You won't,
I haven't came across any of these yet. So
because it doesn't come from the Quran and Sunnah. So the only thing that we can actually verify that, and then because Sufism is a wide spectrum, you could say Sufism is shirk, and depending on your perspective, that statement could be true. You could say Sufism isn't shirk, and depending on your perspective, that could be false, right? The only thing that, as far as Muslims, that would actually qualify, like you said, or prove one of those statements right or wrong, is we go back to the Quran and Hadith. And you're not going to find anything from Allah or Rasul that says Sufism is XYZ, because they did not use that term at all whatsoever in the thing. Just like
this is another one. This is another one. I don't want to stay on this one too much. I know we got to get down this text thread. But when she says, so Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, which was a great Sufi. So they always use this, and they try to pretty much mesh him with Gilani, the other bro.
Yeah.
No. You feel what I'm saying? No. Mubarak Gilani was teaching falsehood, shirk, falsehood, innovation, lies. He was just not from what I know, he just was not a good person. From what we understand, the proof and the evidence. But then you're trying to lump him in here. And I don't like that they do that, because they try to mix it in. Oh, his last name is Gilani, and he has Abdul Qadir Gilani, and this one has that. It's like, no, don't try to compare him or mix him or try to act like they both had the same teachings. And, so if you say Mubarak Gilani, he was false, then that means you're saying Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani was false. That's not our position.
And here's the thing, right? And this is why people need to educate themselves on this. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani was not a Sufi. He did not reclaim that I'm a Sufi.
Yep.
He never, as far as the Qadri order, right? The Qadri order, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani was not part of the Qadri order. This is something that started after he passed away.
Yep.
If nothing, he said, you know what? I'm gonna start a Sufi order and do all these things, right?
So then. Why do you think that they're linking him? Why do you think they're connecting him with Gilani?
Because this is
what they do this all the time.
This is what all these Sufi orders do. You have to have, you have to have a name to connect yourself with. Otherwise, you're nobody.
Because who's in Pakistan, India, Sheikh, the real one, the real Jilani, right? He was a great pious person, right? Cool, right? So you have to have I can latch my name onto him. So, I can be great too. It's like they're all like Klay Thompson. I have to latch on to Steph Curry, so I can be great too. And so, even though you might be ass still, currently, but listen, I know Steph. I'm good now. So, that's running mate. He's cool now. So
that makes sense. That makes sense, because we was getting taught in the cult that he was actually the grandson of the actual Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani.
there's so many Jelanis in Pakistan.
You're right.
You've got a billion grandsons then.
But you
Right?
understand what I'm saying? This is
Yeah,
what we was getting fed in the cult that
Mm.
for a great while, I was actually thinking, man, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani's his grandfather and blah, blah, blah. I mean, all of that was just lies.
Here's the thing, right? So even with Sufi, even with like acceptable Sufi orders, right? They even have their own like methodologies. Mm-hmm. Like for instance, if I want to be a reciter of Quran or a Hafiz, I have to have an ijaza, right?
Yeah, it goes all the way back.
It goes all the way back to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Sufis have their own thing like that, where like they're supposed to, they call it a silsila, where a sheikh from a sheikh that supposedly is supposed to trace back to their original sheikh, right? Authorize somebody to say, okay, you can teach this stuff now, right? So in order to like claim, like for instance, we'll use the Steph Curry example. If I want to start a Steph Curry shooting school, I have to have a piece of paper or something saying Steph Curry authorized me to teach his style of shooting.
Yep.
And then if I teach it to Hussein wants to go start his old school, Hussein would be able to say,
Jafar taught me who learned from Steph. Yeah,
exactly. And then all and if you go to like sheikhs, real Sufi sheikhs that are claim, they actually put this stuff right out there, right? Yeah. I learned from so and so, and they go right back and they show it back to like whoever they're claiming their teaching from.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I think the difference is because we were all in the same cult, and this is something that I kind of like go back and forth in my mind about. We were all in this cult, and what is the difference from us versus a lot of people that stuck in the cult? Of course, we can go down a list. Oh, Allah just decided to, enlighten us and give us, guidance. But if we set that aside, on a, I don't want to say philosophical, but just an understanding of the psyche of the human, why it's so blatantly obvious. Why is everybody behaving like this when it's clear and evident that, this whole situation was a sham and Mubarak Gilani was clearly a fraud? Like, there's so much evidence. Why do they keep on acting like that's not the case? Like, what the heck is going on?
Fish don't know they're wet.
Yep.
You don't know you're wet until you get out of the water. We were the same way until Allah guided us for whatever reason out of the water, and we're like, yo, that was wet. I'm dry.
But I'm talking about that point of realization. We know it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance, but
I think it's just an overall lack of just like critical thinking. Who's like the ability to just critically think through is like gone. Like for them, it's like, okay, well, I'm so okay with just my everyday life. Like I wake up in the trailer, I go on the land, I pray here. So like whenever you have your ambition set for a higher status, right? That's when you start to think about, okay, how can I? Because my routine is my routine. I have to do something outside my routine to go further now. I want to go further and be higher in life. So for us, right, I wasn't content with however I was living in the Jamaat, right? So my mind went outside the box and said, okay, I want to try this out instead. So I want to learn more and more about Islam. Cool. Yeah. I learned more and more about Islam. I was like, what this is saying is different from what Jelani's saying. So that's kind of strange. Why is that? So let me go to outside and seek more knowledge. Nah, that's wrong. That's wrong too. So for them, they're just, because as humans, we are creatures of habit, right? We have routine, we generally stick to it, right? So if you're lazy, you gotta be lazy forever. But eventually, like, I want to improve. So when you start improving yourself, it's like, dang, I was really slacking before.
It's the most bizarrest thing because, our companion that we know is going through his situation with the legal situation. Literally a year ago, a year ago, I couldn't even have this conversation with him.
At all. Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. I couldn't even have the conversation. Now, fast forward, a year later, and now the conversation is being had and his eyes are open, his eyes wide open. And I'm just like, you know what I mean?
It boils down to like,
experience.
There's all these, we talk about our common traits that we have about being, like Amr just mentioned, like being critical thinking, have an aspiration to increase our knowledge or, think outside the box. We have there's common characteristics that we seem to all share, but like you said, ultimately it's, and I ask myself all the time. Ultimately, it's the guidance of Allah, no matter what our characteristics are, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I think it kind of boils down to that. There must have been something within. This is just my opinion. Our sincerity to Allah, right? Are we really Muslim for Allah's sake? Are we really worshiping for Allah's sake? Because if I fully believe that anybody in a cult, in TMOA, especially after people are calling you to the truth, if you are truly sincere with Allah, then you're gonna wake up. You're absolutely gonna wake up. You might have been blinded, and this is the only thing you know in TMOA, which a lot of people had that excuse. I didn't know, I don't know any better. No one was saying this was wrong. I thought this was Islam. That was me for years. No one said, hey, what you're doing is wrong. Once someone said, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and I had to sit, like Amr said, sit back and think about it, ask myself, do research and all that. And I was sincere, no, I'm doing this for Allah's sake, not for Sheikh Jelani's sake, not for the Jamaat's sake, not for my family's sake. I'm doing this for Allah's sake. And that will eventually lead you outside of the darkness, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I apologize, guys. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
No, that's a good question because it's really important for real. Because the people in Samoa are
I just cannot understand this joint. What is going on? And they just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's I got nothing.
I mean, listen, comfortability is a thing. So if you're comfortable, right, and they're very much comfortable where they're at right now. It's I was talking about when we were talking about the East years ago. I was eventually when traveling all the way to New York or South Carolina isn't comfortable for anyone anymore, it's just gonna stop being a thing. Hey, I can go to an East anywhere in my local area and be better than the ones I have in Samoa.
Yeah.
So when things stop being comfortable for the Samoans, dang.
Yeah.
I went to a local Eid in Binghamton. It was great. I had plenty of free food. It was on time. I made the Eid prayer. It was thousands of us. It was great. I didn't have to travel all the way I didn't have to travel all the way down to Virginia for 10 hours or South Carolina for 14 hours. It was mashallah. So eventually, inshallah, people were I am no longer comfortable in my area. For our friend who's going through the whole trial thing, right? It was cool for him because everything's hunky-dory. He's used to it. And then after something happened to him, it's dang, that's crazy. Hold on. You did it to me too? Nah.
Yeah, well, I have this saying that it's sunny outside as long as it's not raining on you. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much been what I've been able to observe. You know what I'm saying? To where now me and my companion, we have outside of the box conversations, and now he's dang, Goose, I remember when you was telling me. He's humble about it. It's not it's not I'm trying to mush it in his face. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, how dare you? Yeah.
No, we're. I want to believe that we're trying to do the best that we can for the sake of Allah. I think that we want to earn His favor. I think that we want to be sincere. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm just happy just seeing that he's, coming to that understanding and kind of coming to light. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, the progression of everyone else. And to where now we're so experienced with this whole situation, we see the steps and the stages and the signs. Oh, here they go saying, oh, yeah, we know the administration is corrupt, but it's not Galani. It's not Galani. It's not Galani. You'll hear that over and over again. And that's one of the stages.
Yep. Well, this is right back to this is where she goes. And it's the same pattern, right? So she says, have you met me before? Again, she's trying to move the goalposts. You're giving false evidence. Nothing I said was false. It's total logically sound proof, right? I didn't give any evidence. I'm just talking about the pure logic of what she's saying. But this is what they do. They try to move the goalpost. They play victim, and they try to bring the conversation into another realm. And when you're dealing with these people, you have to really stay focused, right? Because if I just followed every little thing that she said, we would never get to no possibility get to any conclusion on anything, right? She says you're giving false evidence. I could have followed that bait and say, well, what false evidence did I give? Could have followed that you're calling me a Muslim liar. Nowhere in my text I say you're lying about anything, right? Never said that. I'm supposed to be safe. She tried basically. That's where she's playing victim. be that I'm emotional. I tell you, I tell you one thing and you call me a liar again. Like this emotional, like I'm the victim. Like, so she's actually lying on me. Like, I never said you're lying about your feelings. I just said there's a contradiction in what you're saying, and whatever. Then she tries to bring it into a whole nother realm. She says she makes a claim about me. Your issues again are dealing with administration and your clear lack of understanding of Sufism and what the Qadri order is. So she says my issues are with admin. She has no idea what my issues are.
I'm about to say, how do you know what Jaffar's issues are at all? You have no idea what issues are. And Jaffar wrote, as you all know, a letter to the head of the administration. It's with Jelani, actually. If it was getting
maybe she doesn't even know who I am, like, because it's possible I'm just some random person commenting with her, right? So she goes into this rhetoric, the cult rhetoric of, people just have a problem with admin. It's admin's fault. It's not Jelani. Jelani's perfect, but he has corrupt administration, and they're the ones doing all this corruption. She goes right into that whole thing. So, like, okay, we already know about that, but I'm not going to let you move the goalpost. Then she says, you have a lack of understanding of Sufism and the Qadri order. When did we start talking about Sufism? Right now, let's bring that into conversation. She says, that later, you don't have to accept to each his own. Sufism isn't shirk. When did we? Again, this is all moving the goal. She's moving goalposts, setting up multiple goalposts, just trying to. I'm gonna bail from this original conversation.
Right? She's doing that freaking. You know that freaking like Eminem 8 Mile crap where he like I say all the things I think you possibly say before. Like, I am white. I'm a bum. I live in a trailer park. Like she's like, Sufi isn't shirk. Jelani is not wrong. It's you were educated by this. Like, girl, stop it.
Well, to be fair to her, let's clap it up for her. I think she worked really hard on this paragraph. I think she really attempted to think this one through and just threw everything at the kitchen sink. Just threw it all out there and try to play victim in the process.
And then she said, "What shakery bomb are you enlisting to help with?" Basically, like, who's teaching you? Which if this is like a real life conversation, you have to make sure you don't get sucked down these rabbit holes, right? You deal with the one topic you originally started with, and before you move on to the next topic, okay? Because one, if I mentioned who I'm taught by and what sheikhs I've learned from, she wouldn't even know who they are.
Yep.
Right? And she'll just say, "Oh, they're Salafis, they're Wahhabis, or who is that guy? I don't know him," whatever. So let's just move on, right? Again, and we talked about how she tried to commingle Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, Mubarak Jilani, two different people. And again, and this is where I kind of I got upset because, I didn't get upset, but I was upset that for all the people that's listening, we don't delete comments. YouTube deletes comments. Sometimes they don't like comments post. This happened to me. I'm one of the administrators on the page, and it didn't let me post my comment, and I had to retype it, which is so annoying. So I gave her salams, hopefully, like, calm her down, like, let's bring it back. I said my original reply got deleted, so I had to retype this. Either my comments are going over your head, or there is some breakdown in communication, which can happen easily in this limited format. I simply pointed out a major contradiction in your claim. I never called you a liar. Your responses are a bit scattered, and quite honestly, your statements about Sufism, Qadri Tariqa, and Quran and Sunnah sound like the rhetoric of a stereotypical novice cult member. And I'm not saying this to try to offend you. It's just like real clear. This is what you sound like. Because, I mean, I've dealt with, I don't know how many people like this. I could definitely educate you on these topics, especially how these topics apply to Mubarak Jilani and his followers. And just for all y'all out there, if anybody ever said, "Hey, I can educate you on something," I'm going to contact them. Educate me. It might turn out that you can't, but I'm going to at least try to take the opportunity. Oh, this person might know more than me about something. I'm going to take that opportunity. So I say, for instance, Mubarak Jilani is not a sheikh of the Qadri order, nor a sheikh of the subsect Qadri Sarari. So I threw Qadri Sarari in there because she doesn't even know that Mubarak Jilani first claimed to be the sheikh of Qadri Sarari, even though the Qadri Sarari say, yeah, he's a fraud. And then all of a sudden, like to Hus's point, all of a sudden everybody became Qadris and started putting that in their last name.
Yep.
But again, there's no shake of any Sufi order, and I say in a comment, there's I don't know if I said it, but there's no sheikh in any Sufi order that actually authorized Mubarak Jilani to be a sheikh in any Sufi order. Okay, it's like basically he opened up his own college, gave himself a PhD, and said, "I'm Professor so and so."
Dr. Umar.
Yeah, he's actually a doctor, right? Or he got
No, he's not. No.
Oh, he's not.
Dr. Umar has a degree from a fake school that has never been found before. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Gosh.
We have not found his school for Dr. Umar. All right, but he's just listen. Dr. Umar is basically just Black Dr. Phil.
So he says, she says, it
Wow.
sounds like you may be open to have. I said it sounds like you may be open to having a productive dialogue and may have an open mind to hear and accept the truth about some things. If you're willing, you can contact me. Just send an email to email whatever. From there, we can have a positive discussion either through email or WhatsApp. All we want is what is best for all our Muslim brothers and sisters. We understand this stuff may be triggering, and the first natural human response is to reject the info. But there is nothing we have said that is false. I know the teachings of Mubarak Jilani more than anyone I know, and I was in the cult for 25 years. So take the offer or leave it, but I can't go back and forth with you in this format. I rarely have time to check the comments sections of our videos. If we don't talk, may Allah guide and bless you and make you a guide for the people. I mean, I'll just be, okay, I can't go back and forth. This should be sufficient for anybody that actually has an open mind and some basic rational common sense to understand like what I'm saying, right? And again, this like how we say we want people to come and contact us, it doesn't even have to be on our show. We could just talk. We're open to just talking in a private format and just having a conversation, and we can agree or disagree or whatever, and we can go about our ways. We're just trying to deliver the message in the best manner we can. She replies and says, "You have my statements. Repost to me what I said that sounds like I'm speaking from a cult. I said I follow Quran and Hadith." Again, instead of contacting me, they want to stay in this realm, right? They want to stay in this realm.
Time out. All right, listen, Sister Fulana. So you said you follow Quran and Hadith. You mentioned Sufis, Qadri Sorori, Mubarak Jilani. You didn't mention anything at all related to what you just said here in this little statement you have here. But carry on, girl.
Exactly. And she says, "I don't need you to explain anything to me. I clearly need to explain something to you. Any issues you have with my former community." So this is the first point. It's like you admit that you're actually not in the Jamaat, right? From my former community are the fault of an erroneous administration that are power hungry. When you don't know what the issues I have are or anybody has, but you're going to put this narrative on anybody has issues, it's admin's fault of my former community. But this is something that if we were conversating, I would simply ask, well, why is it your former community?
Exactly.
And this is how you get an insight to what this person's background is. Her issues with her former community is
the admins.
Exactly. Administration. She has a problem with admin, a power-hungry admin, because they probably kicked her out.
If it's with the admins, though, it's still with Jelani, because Jelani puts all these Negroes in charge. And if you guys believe in Samoa,
wait. No, correction. Remember, the administration was chosen by Allah, and then Mubarak Jilani was just saying, "Oh, Allah said you go here, you go over there." So,
okay,
yeah,
sure. So they're appointed by Allah, right? But so you're telling me even worse, because you're telling me that Allah appointed someone in charge who is corrupt, evil, and just doing things wrongly in His name. Wrong, terrible, right? Second thing is, come on, y'all believe that Jelani has all these abilities and like foresight and insight. He's just such a smart person. Why are there any bad admins then? Because he should be able to see in his little mythical Sufi world a BS. Ahmed Pearson's or a K2 or whoever the hell is abusing my name, doing this and that to this person. You're fired. You're back in the community.
Well, to that point right there, they would say, and I've had these conversations plenty of times when I would call that exact position out. They would say, "Oh no, he knows the bad that they're doing. He just has to sit back and allow things to play out. But he's fully aware, 100% aware of what they're actually doing. But he has to sit back and allow things to run their course. Then I would then say, well, shouldn't you be forbidding the wrong and enjoining the right? Shouldn't you be stepping in to stop this? You're in charge. You see something going on. Then they would just move the goalpost and run around the corner and run around the back door. But it's just the same rhetoric every single time. They have no real strong talking points, and they just run around and spin the block. For the most part.
Wait. I have a question for that. All right, so let's say that he has to let things run its course, right? Are you okay with that? All right. So if an admin comes to you and says, "Hey, listen, bro, I am going to halal your wife," and you're like, if you say no, because listen, it has to run its course, bro. So listen, you found it, right? Clearly, right? That's the answer, right? All right.
Here's the whole point, right?
Here's the dumbass niggas, bro.
These people have to use their logic, right? If he has all this divine knowledge of knowing what's going on, and he just has to let it run its course, he actually serves no purpose whatsoever.
Agreed.
When did Allah reveal something to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Was like, but don't do anything. No,
so remember. Do y'all remember when it was that alleged big giant orgy or something that happened in the South Carolina land?
Yep.
Niggas is fake, bro.
The big magical orgy or whatever. And once, pretty much when it was talks about it, basically, he had to act. But hold on. Why did you act when, according to what everyone understands, you already knew and was just allowing it to go on?
Happen? Yeah.
He was fully aware of this big giant mass orgy that was going on down there, but then you randomly acted and kicked everyone off the land or something like that. Remember, it's like 2.5 families on the South Carolina land.
Yeah.
Like basically, they want everything. They want to have it on both sides. She wants to be able to act like, oh, I'm still in a community, but at the same time, this is my former community.
Yes.
Then we got questions. I mean, based off what she's saying, I mean, how long were you even in the community? Sometimes people will get attached to the community for like 2.5 years. Then all of a sudden, they're scholars within the community. They know this and they know that. Then when they get butthurt or they get kicked out or something like that, they still take a position that Mubarak Galani, she says, he taught us. What did he say? He taught us to follow them solely. Holy Quran and Sunnah. That's all I was ever taught. I. Like,
well, so here's the thing. So it becomes more evident as this stuff comes out, because they say these, she knows enough to say that I only follow the Quran and Sunnah. She knows enough about that, right? So this is why I was actually engaging with her, because she has some nuggets there that she could possibly use them to wake up fully, right? She knows that she's just supposed to follow the Quran and Sunnah, right? She's already disconnected from the community, but she associates that disconnection with the administration. That's like a step everybody gets stuck at, is that they have to then take the step to oh no, this is actually the sheikh, right? Yeah. Once she gets that to the point, it's going to be all downhill from there for her if she can get to that point. But I call this stage, I call it the swamp, because anybody remember what's that old movie? The Never Ending Story. Right? The Never Ending Story. And he got in the Atreus in the swamp with his horse. And it was the saddest scene ever as a kid, because the horse gets stuck. This is where they're at when they're it's admin's fault, because some people never get out of that stage, right? So that's where she's at. And this is August's background, right? So again, you have to keep them on a point. She's trying to get me to go into another thing, and I'm not doing that in the comment section, right? So basically, I say, you obviously don't know the teachings of Mubarak Jelani. The issues people have with your former cult relate directly to Mubarak Jelani, his teachings, and his actions, right? And then I start just naming some of them.
Yes.
7 sultans, halal marriages, killing innocent people. The statement of 7 sultans where they teach it's okay to call these 7 sultans Allah. If you know the teachings and actions of Mubarak Jelani, and you know the Quran and Sunnah, you would recognize that your sheikh misguided people very clearly. And I hope she recognized when we get to the end of her comments, she actually confirms this without even realizing it. I said, in any case, you made it clear you aren't interested in a productive dialogue. Remember, she said she doesn't need me to teach her anything, right? You're good. Why are you commenting on our page? You don't need anything, right?
Right.
And only interested in trolling our comments. Have fun. May Allah guide you and open up your eyes. Then she says, I believe that Allah is God and Nabi Muhammad SAW is the messenger. I believe in Sufism, right? Remember earlier she said Sufism is central to Islam. If that was true in your own mind, you wouldn't have to say the Shahada and then in a separate line say, I believe in Sufism.
Right.
Say, I believe in Islam. I believe in Sufism. So you're saying they're two separate things. So that's just something you should recognize in your own mind, that you distinguish between the two.
Yeah, you separated them.
Yep, in a manner, I think she meant to say that doesn't contradict Quran.
14.
I don't believe Nabi Muhammad sallallahu daughter. This is where she contradicts everything she said. She says, I don't believe Nabi Muhammad sallallahu daughter, which is Fatima, peace be on her, was the first sultan, which is a saintly person. So she started off saying Sheikh Mubarak Jalani just taught us Quran and Sunnah, and that's why we love him, right? And the only issues with the community is the corrupt administration, and Sheikh Mubarak Jalani only taught Quran and Sunnah, and that's the only thing I was taught, right? Then I made a reference to the seven sultans to see if she would bite. She bit and basically said, I don't believe in the first sultan, which now you are contradicting the teachings of Mubarak Jalani.
Only teaching
actually contradicts the Quran and Sunnah.
Yep.
So if he only taught you Quran and Sunnah, right? And he obviously taught you about the seven sultans, and he obviously taught you that Fatima was the first sultan, and that is supposedly Quran and Sunnah, and you say you don't believe in that. Either you don't believe in the Quran and Sunnah, or you acknowledge that Sheikh Mubarak Jalani does not only teach the Quran and Sunnah. This is common sense stuff.
Yeah, Jaffer, you are hilarious. You just simply said you are full of contradictions.
May Allah guide you to see them.
That is so funny because you just at this point you're just at your wits' end. You're like, listen, may Allah guide you because again, you just contradicted yourself. Like I said, your sheikh or your former sheikh, he literally said out of his lips. I mean, we have it on record that Fatima radiallahu anha was the first sultan. He said that out of his own face while he was reading through the book. So it's no way you can try to walk that one back. So if you say that you, like you said, if you say that you don't believe that, then you're basically saying that he did not tell something that was truthful.
Yes.
What is the opposite of not being truthful? I mean, where's the middle ground there? Besides being a liar, I mean, if you're afraid to say that, what else would you say? Obviously, that wasn't the truth. So what is it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're exactly right. You got to recognize, because you can't stress yourself out. I know in the beginning when I was doing this a lot, I'd be on there paragraphs, days, going back and forth. And even when I like say, all right, I'm done with this because you just want to keep comment talking, and I can't do that with people, right? You don't have the time, and it's never productive. Okay. She says, in what way specifically did I contradict myself? And I just let her know, like, we're going to cover it up on a pop-up show tonight. You can come on and I can explain it, or you can watch it or whatever. That's up to you. But I hope it's clear for this person. Again, she has some nuggets there, and there's a lot of people that are in this weird space where they're acknowledging that all the stuff in the cult was not cool, but they don't know, they're afraid to associate it with the true source, which is the leader of the cult, which is Mubarak Jalani. They recognize that, yes, I'm a Muslim and I need to follow the Quran and Sunnah. They're still afraid to leave the Sufism tag, which is, they'll get there eventually when you just say, you know what, I'm a Muslim. I'm not a Salafi. I'm not a Sufi. I'm not a whatever other there is. I am a Muslim. That's it. She'll eventually get there.
I absolutely love the swamp analogy because that pretty much just encompasses exactly what's going on. And I would even venture to guess maybe about 80 to 85 people in the Tamoan cult right now are simply just stuck in the swamp. They're just stuck in the swamp. Majority of people, because if you ask majority of the people in the community, actually, if you ask 100%, I'm going 100%. I changed my mind. If you ask 100% of the people in the community, do they have an issue with admin? They're going to say yes.
Yep.
They're going to say yes. So I'm going to push that number to maybe about 98%. 98% of the Samoan people right now are in the swamp. Yep. So that's actually a perfect analogy.
That other 2% is the admin. Yeah. They don't have a problem with themselves.
It's fine. Actually, some of them probably have a problem with
other admin. Yep. That's true. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do another pop-up because I had a conversation with also an individual on WhatsApp that's a Dream Cult member, and that one's a little bit longer. So we'll have to do another show. We didn't want to keep y'all too long on this, but hopefully, you guys can see, just get some tips. And again, if you have any suggestions for myself, how I should have handled it better. But again, you got to remember, these people that are supporting TMOA or people that are commenting and trying to refute us and all that, the comment section really is not the appropriate place to do it, because one, we don't monitor every single comment. We usually don't have time to we usually don't have time to address everything properly. Just contact us, email us at least, so that we can we'll arrange a time to talk, because communication is best when you're actually hearing the person, preferably seeing the person. We can even arrange a conference call like this. It won't be live, but we can have a talk. Some people are worried about I don't want to contact them because I'm going to get kicked out the Jamaat or whatever. We'll keep it confidential. We don't we're just trying to guide people. We're not trying to do this for views. We're not trying to do this for ratings. We're not doing this for fun. We're trying to guide people. And we're just like this sister, Ms. Questions. You have questions, obviously. And maybe you're a little bit too stubborn to say, oh, I have questions and I want to know things. Can someone please help me with these questions I have? But you do, when you're learning anything, the first step is humbling yourself. I don't know what this person knows. When you go to college, you don't go in there and tell the professor, yeah, I got this. Yeah, I ain't writing you no papers. I know. You humble yourself. Okay, this person has something to teach me and I'm going to learn, right? And you should be like that with all your dealings with people until you actually know clearly, I have nothing to learn from this person. So if there's any questions, you can we don't have time to take the questions. I got to go make salat.
I gotta pray. Jazakallah khair everyone for tuning in. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.